We're going to go ahead and get started with the Finance Committee meeting of the San Benito CIC Board of Trustees. Today's Monday, June 4th, and it's approximately 5:30. I'm going to call this meeting in order. Number 2, review and discussion of the options to extend the contract for an additional 1 year for physical therapy services. Ms. Rendon?
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Services are from our Special Service Department. We're under contract for these services. We do have an extension to go out for, Christy, correct me, 2 or 3 years? We're on the 3rd year. This is a 3 of 3. We're asking to continue services, or if you want to take it as an agenda item, or now we take it out for bids.
When was the last time we went out to bid for this
This is
contract?
3 of 3. This would
Those
be
3
the
years
3rd
ago,
renewal.
But
Yes.
before that,
2 years, 2 completed years.
okay.
This
and
would be the
it's-
3rd
And it's
year.
been the same
Yes, sir.
vendor.
And they provide the services of physical therapy.
Ms. Rendon, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Any concerns about this company's services over the
Mr.
past 2 years?
Manriquez?
Or Mr. Manriquez? Good evening, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey,
Regarding the concerns, there have been no concerns. Parents have been happy. They're providing services. They work on a student There have been no concerns.
So you have a good rapport with them as far as their timeliness and all that? So no concerns?
And you're comfortable continuing the service?
Yes, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Manriquez. Agenda item?
Yes, sir, agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let's move on to agenda item number 3, review and discussion of the RFP-0418-SI for the Student Athletic Services. Ms. Rendon, we're going to go ahead and table this item for now?
You want a table, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Let's move on to agenda item number 4, review and discussion of the approval of the option to extend the proposal of the architectural services for an additional 1-year period. Mr. Vargas?
Yes, so this actually was on the agenda the last time around, but the only reason we tabled it from last time to this time was because due to our elections, there are only, well, up here right now, there's only one person who was here during the presentations over a year ago. So we have 5 brand-new board members who've never met these architectural firms, what they have to offer, and they're actually the ones who are on retainer right now, or if you will, on call. So the purpose of this was just to bring in the architects, so the board members have any the new board members have any questions or any specific things that they would like addressed. And just overall, if you've been watching the actions going on in our district, we're about to go, or we're in the planning stages for a bond, which means we're going to start building things. So I want the board members to be very comfortable with who we have on call and kind of respect the wishes of the previous board and how we came to the decision of hiring these 3 architectural firms. And so when the architectural firm is presenting, out of professional courtesy, if the other 2 firms can step out, that would be great. I don't know, Mr. Rendon, if you have anything else to add before they are allowed to present?
Ms. Gonzalez, I'm not sure in what order. You have the order to go. And there'll just be a presentation, just to give you a little history, like Mr. Vargas said. There are 3 firms that were selected by the board, and they ranked them 1, 2, and 3. And each of them have their own specialty that they do and so forth, just to bring the new board members up. So we have these 3. They're up for, we've gone out, they have an extension, so that's where we can go into just extend, renew the 3. So we don't have to go out for an RFP, but we want to give you all a chance to, so that you can meet them and ask any questions before we take it to the agenda and have them approved to extend another year.
And just for clarification, you may not have heard of them or from them in a year because we haven't asked for their services, correct, Ms. Rendon?
Pardon, sir? Yes.
Yeah.
There is a conference waiting room around the corner, Michelle, so I'm not sure who we're starting off with, Christy. They know where to go?
26 individuals who are just around the corner here in McAllen. We have been involved in over 150 K-12 projects. Many are new build, but a lot of them are renovations, additions, specifically for a lot of on-call work that we've done for districts. We do have the experience and capacity to be able to, is that microphone not working? Always wanted to do this. Sorry about that. Is that better? Okay. We do have the experience and capacity to do K through 12 projects and have been quite successful in it throughout our 17-year history with the firm. All of our principals and staff are involved in every project, specifically on the upper level management side. As you can see, we have a lot of depth on the architectural design and production side of projects. We have our own in-house structural group, which provides a lot of value to our owners and projects related to efficiencies and being able to be under one roof, working side by side with the architectural group and the structural group. We have 6 licensed professionals at our firm on the architecture and structural engineering side. And then we have in-house construction administration capabilities to take our projects all the way through the end, working side by side with contractors of your choice. We've worked under the competitive seal proposal levels, as well as, delivery methods, as well as construction manager at risk and design build. 310 projects under our, in our portfolio. As I said earlier, 155 are K through 12. 9 million square feet in design are the total projects that we've done since 2001. Many renovations and additions, 25 owners in Region 1 that we have represented. Many of them have been on call, much like what we're doing here with San Benito. 55 high school projects, 26 middle school projects, and 92 elementary school projects, and lastly, 14 fine arts facilities is in our history and portfolio. We have a process from beginning to end that we're very proud, have a good track record of delivering projects on time and on budget. As a matter of fact, we typically hit under the 1% of the final construction costs when we do our own cost estimating and planning during the design phase. We have a $4 million investment in our technology, have the latest in construction automated drafts, drawing software, extensive platforms on the structural side, as well as visualization and communication. At the end of the day, this provides us with more efficiencies, better communications, and able to get those projects in on time and on budget. Not only have we won design awards, but we've also won business awards for our financial excellence in our company. So we are financially stable and have been since inception, and we hope to continue to do so as well. We have something that we're very proud of that we think differentiates us from many other architectural firms. Many of our projects, specifically on the K through 12 side, we like to get a community and take a look at their cultural history and their land and people and reflect that in our architecture. We think that's important, makes a good statement for kids to feel more at home, understanding that their cultural is part of the buildings that they're in, regardless of whether they're high schools, middle schools, or elementary schools. We have a long history of doing that. We're very respectful for our community's values and the history that the communities come from. And lastly, we've become known as the leading architect throughout the state in doing 21st century design, modern spaces. There's actually a criteria for 21st century school. It requires bursts of color, a collegiate environment, open spaces, collaborative spaces, the ability to transition easily from outdoor to indoor, rooms that have the capabilities of having multi-purpose. Those are all some of the distinctions and elements that you utilize when you're doing 21st century design. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Eli and let him walk through some of the projects that we've done over the last few years.
Thanks, Brian. I'm just going to walk you through some very quick projects that we've done here locally. We've had the opportunity to not just do work here locally, but we've had an opportunity to do 2 high schools for Houston ISD. We did the Seguin High School that I'm going to go through real quickly. We're doing the Andres High School in El Paso. We're doing a new performing arts center for them. We're doing Bradley Elementary School in El Paso. And then we were recently hired to do the new transformative learning elementary school for Austin ISD. And I guess one of the things that we've been very fortunate with is that we've done it against, here's a little old company from the Rio Grande Valley, and all made up of architects and engineers and draftspersons from the Rio Grande Valley. And, you know, we're going up in Houston and competing against some of the really, really large firms, El Paso or even Austin. And I think that's really a testament to the work that we do, and we've really taken the design side. Maria's originally from La Feria. I'm from La Feria. Brian's from FAR. And all the partners are either from La Jolla, McAllen, Donna, they're from everywhere. We're all down here from the valley. And so when we go up into some of these districts to really represent who we are, I mean, we hold our own against some of these firms. And I'm talking huge, huge firms. And just a real quick story, and I know I want to be quick, but we used to go over there, and the first time we went, we were really quite nervous, wondering how are we going to compete against these firms that have 6,000 architects, and you know, they're national-sized firms. But you know, we beat them, and we got to work. When we went to Houston, we were the only firm, Hispanic also, from the Valley. They got 2 comprehensive high schools from Houston ISD as part of their $1.9 billion bond issue. And, you know, we had an opportunity to go sit down with the head guy that was in charge of the whole bond issue. And we asked him, how did you guys pick us? I mean, you know, we're from the Valley. And he said, because we saw in your work and we saw in your passion that you all do what you say you're going to do. He said, a lot of these firms come in, they talk a good talk, but they don't actually do the work. And so we really took that to heart, because we want to make sure that whatever we say we're going to do, that we're going to do it. And it's been very successful for us. I mean, you know, like I say, you know, working in Houston, El Paso, Austin, competing against some of those big major firms, and everyone is wondering, who are these guys? How did they get in here? Well, we do it because of the body of work and what we end up doing.
And I want to add something to that.
Yeah.
And what's great is that we get those lessons that we learn, and we look at all the examples and all the other firms, what they're doing, the districts that they're doing, and then we bring that knowledge here locally to serve the districts that we serve here at Region 1.
Yeah.
And that's vital, that's key.
But just, I'm gonna walk you through some of these real quickly. Maybe you've seen some, maybe you haven't, but we did the Performing Arts Center for Wesco ISD. I don't know if y'all have had an opportunity, but this was kind of our first foray into 21st century design. We really tried to push the envelope. It's not an envelope that is easily cut through, because a lot of teachers don't like going this way, because it's a total departure from the way that we've typically delivered education in the past. I don't know if y'all have had an opportunity to be in McAllen, but the new Performing Arts Center in McAllen was one of my projects also. That was a $50 million project that has been quite successful. This was the Gano Freshman Academy. This was a lot of fun, because we finally got Harlingen to say, hey, let us do what we do best. And even though they held us back, the principal says, wow, we should have listened to you guys from the very beginning, because I think y'all would have taken it to the next level, and we held y'all back on that. But that's been a very successful project. Yeah, there on the upper left-hand corner is their internet cafe, and that's actually run by the students, and the students do, they do all the marketing for it. They do the inventory. They run that, and they're learning the business side of that, and that's really cool. It's amazing when you go see how much coffee the kids love. I'm one of them. This, if y'all have been in Brownsville, this is the Hannah Performing Arts Center. We did win a design award for this. It sits right on the Resaca. It's really cool looking, and I know that they've had a lot of fun with that. This is actually named after Brian Dia, an educator from PSJA. As part of our on-call type services, we did prototyping elementary schools for PSJA, and this is one of their prototype schools that we did. I think we did 4 or 5 elementary schools for PSJA off of this same prototype. We just modified it. This is Seguin High School, again done in the 21st century mode. 454,000 square feet. It's a monster. It's a really, really huge project. It's about $82 million. So this was really neat. This year was the first year that they were in the school, and they've really, really enjoyed it. It's very collegiate in its delivery of education. This is Fur High School. This was our first high school that we did in Houston that they really liked, and that's why they hired us to do the second one. But it's definitely done in the 21st century, you know, splashes of color, transparency of spaces, multi-use spaces. You know, the cost of brick and mortar is going up, and we try to hit a utilization ratio of about 85% on this project, and we were able to do it. Most schools are typically designed at around 66%, so you're paying for a lot of brick and mortar that you really don't use all the time. You have to be careful with deficiencies, because I think if you get behind it over 85%, it becomes inefficient because it's too efficient. Everybody's crawling all over each other. Doesn't really work this well. This was really cool. This has won several design awards. It earned Houston ISD a $10 million grant from the Steve Jobs or
The Lauren Jobs, the X2 Super Schools grant.
yeah, that was really neat.
Forward-thinking design based on a social curriculum for making an impact in the community.
Yeah.
Was primarily its purpose. And Eli, this is a good example of taking a small footprint and going up to 3 stories.
It's a 3-story high school. It's a STEAM high school, but one of the metaphors we did is we took an ammonia molecule and we sliced it, and I don't know if you can see the bridges and the little collaboration spaces, but we suspended these in this 3-story volume on 2 different floors. It's really cool, very dynamic space. Kids love it.
On our website at goero.com, we have all our school projects with lots of photos, with a lot more in-depth background on our project.
That school earned us the second high school there for Houston ISD. We took an old 1935 school, and they wanted us to try to replicate it, to try to maintain some of the history of the old high school. This is a high school that LBJ, ex-president of the United States, where he taught science. And we took that old building that he taught in, and we just added on to it in the same style and fashion that the old building was designed. It turned out really nice. This is also a 3-story, as was the original school. That's about it. We got a bunch of other examples, but I know we're limited in time.
Well, I just want to mention, the last project we did at San Benito was actually for South Texas ISD. We did a small addition. Eli, what was that addition we did for the Rising Scholars Academy?
It's a cafeteria.
Yeah.
And dining.
So, I mean, why us? Well, we have K-12 experience. We're very fortunate to be our on-call architect. We know that as you prepare for a bond, we can be utilized for pre-bond services. We're 5-0 when we work with school districts in passing bonds. We've helped pass 5 bond elections throughout the valley and in Seguin. A great little story about Seguin. Their bond failed twice for that high school. From another firm that tried to help them pass it twice. They hired us to go up there. The one thing that they forgot to pull their vote out were Hispanics and teachers. So we helped them create a new message, a new package, and from a 67% failure to a 67% approval for that $85 million high school. And so we got awarded the high school based on the bond success. So we do a lot of pre-bond work. We can also do pre-bond design. We do programming and cost estimating. We have a lot of experience in helping package school districts in terms of the right bond program that they want to take out to the community, and then we can help on the communications level as well as develop anything related to hopefully passing an election when you go that route. We're right around the corner. We're just a few minutes away, and we'd love to continue working for you all. Looking forward to our first project for the San Benito School District.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Any
Appreciate it.
questions?
So you all go out for bids?
Well,
with a-
actually, we don't bid for our services. The state procurement laws do not allow architects to bid for services. Architects and all professional services are selected based on qualifications.
But because we're on your on-call list, typically what happens is the school district issues a work authorization, and then we're invited to bid our services against once the work is selected, and then once we're selected, then we get into contract negotiations.
Okay, oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Just a point of clarification, we don't bid.
Yeah, no bidding.
Yeah.
They don't, none of you are.
Not until we're selected under contract, and then we submit a quote
We sub-
or negotiate a
proposal.
contract. proposal.
Yeah, for clarification, so I think one of the things that we were trying to gather from having three different architectural firms, of course, not being an architect, you assume that all architects can do the same thing. So, that's one of the questions that we had. You have a fund of knowledge, it's very obvious, the great work that you do. So that was one of the reasons why we wanted to have the architects come up and explain exactly what they do and where we can use them as far as helping us get to the next level as far as what we need versus bonds and so on and so forth.
Right.
So that was one of the reasons why we had you, graciously come and give us a presentation. So it helps us understand, what you guys bring to the table and so on and so forth.
We do a lot of planning.
Most of our K-12 Success Agreement one have been bond projects. That's most of our new build work that we do. And in some instances, we're fortunate enough to be brought in early on for programming and cost estimating, and in some cases, a little bit of pre-bond design, and then, of course, the communication side. So we
Awesome.
think we have a lot of value there for you all to help you do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I have a question. I was noticing you said you're building 3-story high.
A lot of our schools
Three
now
stories?
we're going to 3 stories.
Do you have elevators, escalators?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
So-
we have elevators, that's required by code.
Okay.
There's a lot of other code requirements when we go to 3 stories. But, when you're working like in a district like Austin or Houston, where the cost of land is very valuable, and, here we're probably used to seeing large campuses. Over there, we put a lot of people into a small little area because they're more
And I
urbanized.
guess that's why you're
That's why
building
we
up.
go up.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I see.
And I think another thing that I want to go back to reiterate one other point, ma'am, is because our structural group is in-house, that gives us an advantage over a lot of other architectural firms because we work side by side. And given San Benito's close proximity to the coast and the fact that wind becomes an issue, you want to just mention a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I'm a structural engineer and an architect. Maria's a structural engineer also, by the way. And working hand in hand, those are 2 disciplines that you have to really coordinate well. And we're right there in the same office, and I think that really helps us from a standpoint of putting together a good quality project. And then, when we're here and when we're in the zone where we have to design for a windstorm, that's something that we kind of do almost by extension because we deal with it every day.
And Jody's wind certified.
Yeah, and our, another structural engineer in the office is also windstorm certified, so we have a lot of, he's also a structural engineer, by the way.
Great.
Um,
Well, thank you so much.
From
Great
Mission.
presentation.
He's from Mission.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Right.
Good seeing you.
With the prices back there. Everything all ready?
Yeah, we're ready to go.
Okay, hi, my name is Raymond Janak, I'm with Janak Architects.
I'm Nick Janak with Janak Architects.
I'm Juan Mujica.
Thanks for having us, we've been with you for a year, but we'd like to continue with you, obviously. And we're gonna, through our presentation, we're gonna try and limit it to 10 minutes, but we're gonna try and give you an array of all of the experience and recent project history that we have that probably encompasses a lot of things you're thinking about. Okay, in this first image, this is a new $92 million high school in Corpus Christi we just completed. So we're gonna try and tell you who we are, our K through 12 experience in YS, and recent similar work. We were established in '88. We have offices in Harlingen, McAllen, and Corpus Christi. Our first client, I know you're football rivals, but our first client was Harlingen. And they're still our clients today.
35 years later, or 30 years later.
That didn't hurt you in the first presentation, so you're good.
Okay. You've met us now, so we'll go to the next image. So YS, we're going to tell you, we have the experience, our team's qualified. We've done over 400 school projects throughout South Texas, from Corpus Christi to Brownsville to Laredo. And we're local, and we support our districts and clients. These are all of the school districts we've done work with in South Texas. This is a list, some of them you may know, some are your neighbors, some are in the Laredo, Corpus Christi area. And, you know, we're in the school business, so we belong to TASB, we belong to a lot of the same organizations that MASPA, the same organizations you belong to. So we support them, and we're also part of the school fabric in South Texas. And just briefly, I'm going to show, I'm not going to read, of course, any of these to you, but these are all the districts and all the schools that we've done, which are over 400. Okay.
So part of the things that we offer is facilities assessment. That's something that we would come in and tell you, you guys don't know what it is that you guys need. We can actually assess your current facilities. We can see what state of affairs the school is, or a support facility, or this building in particular. We can tell you a lifespan of a roof. We can go in and look at something that's not ADA compliant, and you can establish some sort of priorities of what it is that you guys want to establish your things on. Just one of the things we offer.
Yeah, and the facilities assessment, you guys may have already had that done here, but that's usually a priority in starting a bond planning process, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that in a second. But one of the things that we've recently become more experts in, and we consider ourselves on the cutting edge of school safety design, it's becoming more and more important. We've been talking about this for years, and we've been studying this for years, how to control access, provide clear sight lines, just build in security into our facilities, secure vestibules. But as you probably know, at the end of last month, the state of Texas released a group of recommendations for school safety, from everything from mental health to arms control, blah, blah, blah. What matters to us is there's some recommendations about hardening school facilities, and they fall in line with our design principles already. We've done this for school districts. We've come in and they've said, this was before these recent shootings, that our facilities aren't safe enough. We need secure entry vestibules where we come in, and we've done it for Hidalgo ISD, we're finishing those now, where we come into their existing schools, we put secure vestibules at the entry, so if someone has to buzz someone in to a vestibule, then there's an intercom, then you buzz them in again. That's gonna become a requirement someday, I believe, in the state of Texas. Isn't there yet? It's a strong recommendation. Secure access for every building in the every door in the facility. Key card access, controlled locks on timers, things like that. We work with hardware manufacturers on facilities, and we do that a lot. Radios, telephones in each room, a number of other security issues. We build that into our designs, and we believe that's really important, especially with the recent recommendations and recent incidents. We just wanted to touch on that. That's new to some people, it's not new to us. Bond planning, we talked about that. There's various stages of this that school districts go through. We just want to let you guys know that we've done this with a number of school districts. Harlingen ISD, Point Isabel ISD, Robstown ISD. We have many bond issues under our belt, from pre-planning through planning to marketing to the community, to estimating the size of the high school, to estimating the size of additions and renovations, how to spend that money. I think you guys are familiar with the process, but we've done that for a number of school districts. We know the consultants you need, the demographers, the legal team necessary. Actually, this bond planning slide shows some of the group of people needed to start a bond planning process. We're doing that with large school districts in the area right now, and up in near Corpus Christi. But we know how to do that, and we can help you guys with that as well. Master planning is part of that. Facilities assessment is the first step, then master planning your facilities. Master planning a new high school is actually, it's fun and easy, but master planning one of your old aged middle schools that's too small and 8 different buildings and needs to be connected, that isn't as fun or easy, but we've been doing that since before I started with the firm back in the day here in the valley. Interfacing old and new construction, we know how to do the additions and renovations that a lot of people don't wanna do. We know how to do it, and we've done it before.
And we know how to keep you in business while we do our wall construction as well.
That's right, phasing of construction and things of that nature.
You can't go to a school and say, no, we're just not gonna have this middle school this year, it doesn't work that way. We're able to phase it in during summers, holidays, and separate the students from the construction workers.
We recently did that on this, Robstown ISD High School. I'm not sure what year the original high school was built, but you can see in the 60s, we've infilled, the gray areas are the old aged buildings, and we've infilled with the money that they were able to get through their bond program, which we helped plan that bond, market it to the community. The bond plat passed, and we helped them execute every single dollar of that bond and had a grand opening the other day. Everybody's ecstatic about the new facilities. It's a new cutting edge high school facility. Now I'm gonna let Anna, we're gonna run through a couple of projects and finish it up here.
These are a few snapshots of some of the projects that we've done. We don't just do new schools. If you have a project that needs a facelift, that you need help master planning it for the future, picking out some furniture, doing some graphics that could really enhance the space and instill some school pride, these are just a few of our examples.
And one of the things that we've listened to, one of the furniture has become more and more important as part of the school, so furniture procurement, the chairs in the media center have charging stations everywhere, things like that. But these are a lot of these you might recognize this from East Valley.
And now that libraries are now more resource centers, more media centers, multi-use centers, we can help you create those kind of spaces.
We also understand that children spend a lot of time of their day with schools, and so it's important to understand it is a home with a home. They gotta be safe, like we mentioned, but they also have to be colorful, they have to be vibrant, so that's part of the elements we always need to do all of it, regardless of what they are. Even if it's a re-roofing job, we take that into account.
And prototype, I'll tell you a little bit about, we've done elementary schools that we repeated 7 times in the school district. We've done a new $92 million high school that we're gonna repeat again. New middle schools that we repeated 3 times. But every time we repeat the school, we improve it a little bit, especially now with some of the security issues that we've talked to you about.
The goals of those prototypes are to make efficiency in the design and the cost of construction. They've been done once, so they can be done again. And also, some districts don't like to put a certain quality or size of school in one area of town versus the other. Teachers can familiarize themselves with floor plans. There's some efficiencies there. We'll finish up here. We just want to let you all know that we have tons and tons of sports, athletics, and support facilities experience. We've done 900 seat auditoriums. We've done 450 square foot auditoriums. Could you go back one, please? Go back 2 slides, please. Okay, just, Juan, if you want to talk about this a little
So
bit.
this is in La Jolla, it's a new auditorium, water park, planetarium, tennis court facility, also a golf course. The school district bought a golf course, and we incorporated a golf course design into golf course seating. A lot of school districts are now teaching golf as part of the curriculum. This is an auditorium, it's all indoor, air-conditioned space. There's, in the backside, there's locker there and stuff, but it's a big hit with the city. They're enjoying it this summer. So we really like it.
That's a great water park, and if you go ahead 2 slides, you may be familiar with the, one more, please. No, forward.
Yeah.
So with the Harlingen natatorium, the Harlingen CIT natatorium that we did, very popular. It turned into a beautiful facility right there. Very successful. We've done a number of natatoriums. We are doing currently a number of auditoriums, large and small, 450 seat, 900 seat. We're working on a 2,000 seat auditorium here in the valley for another school district.
We work with an auditorium consultant that is probably world-renowned, not probably, is world-renowned. They don't design Olympic-sized pools, they don't design Olympic pools. A lot of the pools you see in the Olympics, they were the consultants for those designs.
This particular project has also been very successful in it not just for the student body, but they also utilize it for the city. They have an agreement with the city comes in and uses it at times, so they have an agreement with it, so it's been successful.
So briefly, if you have questions, we're immediately accessible, we have an office in Arlington, we do schools, that's 95% of our work is schools. One of the things about, I'm kind of going off script here, one of the things about bond issues and master planning, the most important thing is to make sure that you budget the right amount. Because construction prices are going up 6% a year. If you don't have recent experience in high schools and middle schools and elementary schools with sports facilities, you might be budgeting on something that's 5 years old. You sell it to the community, then a year later, you can't afford to do all the things you promised. So budget is really important on any of these projects, and we feel like that's one of our strengths. So we're open-minded, we collaborate with, we bring in, we design our schools at San Benito ISD and bring in users, principals, board members, whatever. So I'll end with that. See if you have
Any questions? I think we're
any questions.
good.
Great job or a bad job?
Great job.
Thank you so much, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We actually put our presentation on the booklet.
We'll leave these for you guys.
Should we leave some of the board members that aren't present? Yeah.
We'll get right around one. Okay, thank you.
Everybody else? Yes. Thank you so much. Victory.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Rudy Gomez. This is David Mondial. We're part of the GMS Architects. We have Rolando Rubiano, with Big Rubiano, our structural engineer, with Jason Yellow, and our MEP engineers, mechanical engineers. Excuse me. First of all, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to come back and make the presentation. Since you have so many new ones, you're probably wondering, who are we? We're architectural engineers that know the problem that you're faced with. For over 41 years, we provided architectural services to our school districts here in the valley. I guess you could say it's really our specialty because we've had so much experience in doing it. We are familiar with working in San Benito. We've done most of the school work over in South Texas. We've also done the additions to St. Joseph's and to Our Lady Queen of the Universe. We have 9 employees in our office, as does Ethos, as does Green Rubiano. And we have Inspector Ray Sanchez, who has more than 25 years of construction experience, works with us, available on a daily basis. We're located in Brownsville, they're located in Harlingen, so when you need us, we're going to give you 100% of our effort. I think another important thing is all the drawings that we do are produced locally. This is not a marriage of convenience, because we worked together for over 30 years, the different firms all together. So, what this does is this allows us to have better coordination with you, and also in our drawings, so that we can expedite the design, bidding, and the construction. In those years, we've also developed, I think, a good sense of what board members expect from their consultants. In the 41 years, we've worked on just about every phase of educational programs, educational facilities, that I don't think can be matched by anyone here. best things that we, greatest asset is being able to work with your staff. During the design and the construction phase, we're only a phone call away to discuss with you whatever needs to be discussed and to give you the benefit of our experience. We know our business. In the last 6 years, we've had one job out of nothing. Requires us to be gone, we did. And so, you know, what we'd like to do is to show you some examples of our work. I know you're short of time.
The way that we broke down the presentation, just briefly, we're including some, basically we try to cover all aspects of the scope that we usually cover. So we've got some re-roofing that we've done. We're gonna show you some additions and renovations, some athletic facilities. We're also gonna show you building additions to existing campuses, some master plan and phase construction, and then the full-fledged new campus facility, high school type buildings. So first of all, we've done many re-roofing projects. Types of roof that we've covered are modified bitumen roofing, built-up roofs, TPO roofs, metal roof overlays. And I think the most important thing to cover when we're talking about re-roofing projects is the phasing and the importance of understanding who's using the buildings and if they're still occupied. A lot of times you do these buildings and you're gonna have to phase them to properly coordinate what's going on with the work. We've done a lot of re-roofing projects that we've done in the past. The next couple examples are building additions. So at the top, we've got Mercedes ISD. We did a kitchen addition, so we had to demo the existing kitchen to make room to expand their dining area. Again, this was a phased construction, so we had to build a new addition first. The kids were still occupying, they were still using the kitchen. We had to wait till summertime, and then we have to have everything pre-planned to be able to shuffle bits and pieces out. We also renovated the band halls and the fine art building. Again, while during school, we demoed one, renovated one, moved those kids into the next building, and then renovated the other building. So it was quite an effort to do that. The lower picture is Lyford ISD. Again, it's a renovation project. On the left, you see it was an open air type outdoor space. And we converted it to an indoor space where the kids didn't have to be outside in the cold. So it was climate controlled. It was new enclosed, added spaces. There is an office in there, restrooms, mechanical spaces. So all that is now an air conditioned space with indoor volleyball, and so the kids can practice and do stuff inside. The next example that we have is a new building that we just finished a couple years ago. It's the training facility for Rivera at VISD. That front portion of that is a weight room, and the building towards the back is the practice facility. This is a shot of the interior of the weight room. Next slide. This is the interior shot. So it's a 50-yard by 60-yard practice space, basically, and the school utilizes that for band practice, baseball practice, inclement weather, anything that they have to do outside, they're doing inside now.
Even the ROTC.
Right. So some of the design features that we put in there, we had these large overhead doors. You can see them in the photographs. There are large fans in the air up in the structure to circulate air, but they can open the doors and circulate air back and forth. You know, again, to try to just move air. It's not air conditioned. It is fully sprinklered. And they utilize that a lot now on the campus. It's total about 31,000 square feet. Next slide. The next slide is also a building that we just finished. It's the Los Fresnos Aquatic Center. It's a practice pool. It's an 8-lane pool. It does have an attached diving well to it. Again, we utilize the overhead large doors. They're glazed doors to allow maximum lighting in there, to be able to lighten the space up a little bit, but also circulate air through the pool. Those pool environments are very corrosive, so the air changes, and these guys can speak more about the types of systems we had to use, but those are tricky spaces to keep ventilated.
One of the interesting things that they put in there is all of the lighting is indirect lighting. You see the large reflector white ceiling, all of the lights on the walls shine up so that you don't have to light the pool itself. You don't have any lights in the pool.
Next slide. Okay, these next examples are actually additions to existing campuses. So this is the South Texas ISD Medical Lab expansion in Mercedes. This was in addition to their current Med High campus. It has specialized labs for medical program, dental hygiene, EMT programs, and general classroom and science labs. So some of these spaces that you're looking at are the full simulation medical labs that they have with the computerized hospital type environment. Then you've got the lecture rooms, again, built-in seating, projector screens, and acoustical wall and ceiling treatments throughout. Next slide. This is this is a standalone building at South Texas ISD.
Yes, this is the Union of Las Américas there in South Texas. It was designed not only as a library, but also as a teaching facility. It has a full-blown TV station inside. It has a number of remedial rooms. It has a lecture room that sits 156 at one time. They use this building for everything. It's a beautiful building inside.
This was just a rendering we put in here just recently. This is a new new building that's going up also at South Texas ISD. It's the Innovation Center. You guys can probably
Yeah,
speak.
this is a building in which the students will actually be building the robotics. They'll design them, they'll build them, have a large lab in the center that these guys made look good. You know, it's an interesting concept. There's an elevator walkway where you can actually look down and see the students working on the different pieces of equipment and putting this thing together.
This is the BISD Early College High School. Also a building on an existing campus. It's on the UTRGV campus. A lot of thought went into how that building would fit the existing architecture of the surrounding buildings. A lot of times, not a lot of thought may go into that. This in particular was one of the buildings that we had to sort of comply with some of the requirements for campus. So a small addition, 10 classrooms, computer labs, student commons area, student dining area, and administrative offices. These are examples of our phase construction. So this in particular is the master plan to La Fresno's United ninth grade campus, which will be developed into the second high school. So the first phase was completed in 2012. The second phase was a new band hall and locker rooms. And then we added the dome gymnasium that also doubled as a safe room shelter, and also a 2-story educational wing. So this is a photograph of the robotics lab, the medical labs that they have. And then this was the phase 2 portion of it, so it was the band hall. It's a 27,000 square foot building, large marching band hall, practice rooms, offices, a library, instrument storage, choir practice rooms, and folklorico ensemble rooms. The next addition to that same campus phased in was the dome gymnasium building. This is the building that also doubles as their safe room. So it's a full competition type gym. All again, it's in the dome. So again, we're trying to follow the requirements for this, the storm shelter requirements, correct? Another school district that we do work for is Idea Academy. These are all phase projects. The academies are all part of phase 1s. The collegiate college prep portions are the phase 2s. And so there's a lot of pre-planning that's involved. We help plan the sites, we plan circulation, bus routes, student parent drop-off, and then it's all tied to their existing curriculum, to their program. So there are soccer fields that are planned. Now they're getting full gymnasiums with wood floors, so they're becoming quite extensive. So we do a lot of phasing and master planning when it comes to IDEA. These are the standalone full campuses. So this is the South Texas ISD Academy for Medical Professions. It's a new high school. It does have a bus maintenance and a maintenance bus maintenance canopy. It has a large chiller building that's got 6 health lecture labs, 29 general classrooms, 8 science labs, and 2 art classrooms. does have a gymnasium, library, so there's an example of some of the interior shots of that particular.
That's the student lounge area for the students that come in there. There's ample plugs that you can put in so that they can charge all their equipment, their laptops, phones, et cetera. It's a very high-tech school.
Ethos can talk a little bit about the technologies that went into that building.
Yeah, the technology in the cafeteria was something that we hadn't seen before. Has a full-fledged communication system. All the classroom has an iPad at the wall, and the iPad says what the curriculum for that day or what they're going to be teaching. It has LED lighting, which it was not the foresight like today, but that was built 4 years ago. So it was built with LED lighting already back then.
And most of the buildings that we work on, the GMS, we design the buildings to be 30% more efficient than core buildings. So not only do you get a building on budget, but you get energy savings for the rest of the life of the building. So, and this is done without sacrificing any comfort. So LED lighting, working with children's, more insulation, thickness in the walls, gutters, everything. So a lot of thought goes into a holistic design from the engineering and the architectural point of view.
This next example is Veterans Memorial High School, also for VISD. The campus was designed for 2,400 students. It's got two-story classroom buildings, each containing 45 classrooms each. There is a cafeteria, there's a performing arts center, there's an open plaza in the back, very collegiate type feeling for those buildings. And they're all, again, all master planned, pre-planned to really understand what the functions of each one of those spaces was gonna be.
And that building, you got Energy Star with
Right.
a score of 94% level.
This is one of the lecture rooms that these guys put in there that actually change the color of the room.
It's different ambient lighting, that's a shot of the performing arts center. Shot of the gymnasium. And then the last example that we have is Sharyland Pioneer High School, also very similar to the high school, VISD. This one's designed for 2,600 students and also room for expansion. That was important for the district. Again, cafeteria supporting outdoor spaces, all the gymnasium, there's a gymnasium, three gymnasiums with 5 basketball courts actually, performing arts center, synthetic turf football field, so it was a full-fledged high school. It does have an ag farm component to it as well.
This is the 3-court gymnasium. Go past it. It has 3 full courts in there. They practice baseball, soccer, everything. So it's quite a
It's a shot of the waiver.
Probably the most notable thing about that building is that we got it for $121 a square foot. You know, one of my professor's favorite sayings is that the human being is a creature of his environment. And if you give him a good environment to work in, he'll do well. Excuse me. And if you give him a good place to learn, he'll learn. What we're handing out now is the 2017 rankings of the top 500 high schools in the country. GMS has, with this team, has 8 of the top 50 in the state of Texas, 8 of the top 277 in the nation. Now, we're not taking credit for the educational program, obviously, but we do design facilities that are conducive to it. You know, we have a group of experienced architects and engineers. I think our firm has shown in the past that our projects have been on time, within budget, and that they provide excellent value. Thank you. Any questions for Sir?
No, we're good. Great presentation, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Agenda item? All right, let's move on to agenda item number 5, review and discussion of the approval of the 5 Iloma Kobe ovens for Riverside, Berta Cavazza Middle School, Fred Booth Elementary, Dr. Cash Elementary, and San Miguel Veterans Memorial Academy. Ms. Rendon?
Yes, sir. This item was previously brought to the board, and we tabled it because we needed to, they weren't able to honor the bid they had submitted. So Ms. Landrum is here. If you have any questions, we have gotten a firm bid now that we would like to present to the board, take it to the board.
Just for clarification, the previous finance committee meeting, we had put it on the agenda, but then at the regular board meeting, we had an action item to rescind and then another action item to approve.
Yes, sir.
So my question is, are we rescinding again and having a whole new bid? Why is it coming before the committee again?
We did rescind the original one that was approved,
And there was an
and then
approval.
we were gonna have a new one that had some discrepancies on that bid, so we tabled it. So now we're bringing it with the correct,
So at the special board meeting, that was not voted on?
no, sir,
No,
it
no,
was
it was
tabled.
rescinded because apparently they give us
The
the wrong
rescinding,
information
yes.
Got it.
on
The
bid, okay?
rescinding portion of
Now we
it,
got
we
the
did
right
rescind it, so we're back to square one.
I just wanted to
Okay,
make
good.
sure, okay,
Yes, I think,
okay,
yeah, there was a wrong information, they gave us the wrong,
okay. Just wanted to make sure we weren't re-approving.
We're good.
so we're good with that?
Yes.
All right.
And thank you, Ms. Landrum,
Thank you,
for
appreciate it.
your hard work at the end-of-year celebration. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Good job, thank you. Agenda item, Ms. Rendon?
Thank you, sir.
All right, let's move on to agenda item number 6, review and discussion of the school years 2018-2019 paid holidays for 260 days, full-time employees, DED local. Ms. Rendon?
This one I'm gonna defer to
Oh,
Dr.
okay.
Phillips, it's coming out of the Human Resources Center.
Yes, sir. So basically, what we have to do in accordance with DED local is make sure that we outline the specific days that our 260-day employees will be off, and these days will be counted as paid days off for them. We just want to make sure that we communicate and clarify that for them as it changes from year to year based on the calendar.
Dr. Phillips, I got a question. I know there was some concerns about some certain days being off and why they're selected, so on and so forth. Our employees and our principals, did they have, or I guess our administration, did they share their thoughts, or was there some type of dialogue as far as why these days were chosen and so on and so forth?
No, not at this time. There was not. We basically looked at last year's calendar and evaluated the days that were given off last year. And in relation to this year's calendar, 18-19 school year calendar, tried to match them up as close as possible so people could plan accordingly. There was one little change there. The week of Thanksgiving, November 21st through the 23rd, they actually will have 3 days off that week versus 2 days this past year. Because of the change in the calendar year for Memorial Day for the 18-19 school year, that will actually be a work day for staff members this year. So we moved that day to the Thanksgiving week so that people could enjoy their families a little bit longer.
Okay, Doc, any questions? You like that? Okay. Agenda item? Thank you, Dr. Phillips, appreciate it. Let's move on to agenda item number 7, review and discussion proposal budget for 2018-2019 school year. Ms. Rendon?
Sorry, sir, I just wanted to make sure that whether the information was uploaded on your board book. I think you have a hard copy,
Yes.
or there goes your hard copy. This is the review and discussion of the proposed budget for the 2018-2019 school year. We've compiled it and going through, we did achieve to present to the board or for consideration for the next, at the board meeting. It is a balanced budget. Key things to note is, at this time, we are not bringing the proposed tax rate. That will, because we do not have the certified tax information. It will be presented in August. So this is just the budget. The budget will begin, start date is July 1st, 2018. And this is the information that, I'll go through the information that we'll present. We will be having a public meeting. It's scheduled for next Tuesday at 6:15 PM, and this is what we will be discussing or presenting to the public and taking any comments. Under the anticipated revenues for the child nutrition program is $11,093,558, and the appropriations are $11,093,558. It is balanced. Key thing in this budget, we are expanding our services to include a supper program. So we've anticipated gaining more revenues, and of course, we also will have more expenses, but we will be providing a supper program for the students in this coming year. Under the local maintenance, the anticipated revenues is $102,271,812, and we have appropriated the same $102,271,812, which is considered balanced. This is local. We're not bringing in any of the federal programs into this. The anticipated revenues for our debt service is to pay our bonds is $6,059,856, and our appropriations are $6,059,856. Going forward, there is a House Bill 5 that requires, and I put in the literature, it came back out in April 9th of 2014, and it stated that the school districts must set money aside for those end of course, and before we can adopt the budget, we need to set up some money aside to fund those fundings necessary to support the cost of additional acceleration instruction for students who fail to perform satisfactory on the EOC assessment instrument. So we have put some money that when we come to ask for approval, we take action on approving that money that has been set aside. We have set aside $130,000 for this. This is for general supplies. It is in the regular budget. We just need to make note that we set money aside before we adopt the regular budget.
You say 130 or 30?
$30,000. The law doesn't tell us, TEA does not tell us the specific amount. It just says that we must set money aside to provide services for accelerated instruction prior to adopting the regular budget. So this is to comply with the requirements.
Yes, Mr. Duncan, my follow-up question to that was, how do we know how much per student?
It doesn't tell us. It never gives, they have never set a dollar amount per student or so forth. They just want to track, and we track it by the ending number of, the PIC number 24.
So if we set aside just $1, we'd be in compliance?
Yes, sir. But we put 30,000. There's more money, but it just says that we must do this prior to adopting the budget. So this is to comply, and that's why I included the verbiage from TA that it says that we must do this to comply with them. Moving forward into the next one, this is what the budget looks like, and it's broken up. If you see the top portion, same thing, the child nutrition, the general fund, and the debt service, and that is what we're required to adopt and take to the board for adoption. The total, now, I talked about the amounts. In total, you see them broken down. If I add the debt service, overall, we're bringing to adoption of $119,425,226 worth of revenues and expenditures anticipated. In the bottom section, it is broken down into by function. And the function level that's what the board does adopt. And that's why we bring in budget amendments throughout the year, because sometimes we cross function level. The board has the authority to keep them. The district can move money within a function 11 account, but anytime it moves out of a function 11, which is instruction, into another function level, that is when a budget amendment needs to be brought into the district. And you can see how the description of the functions, how it's broken down. Okay. Yes, sir.
And please go over the percentages, please, on your far right-hand side.
The percentages that we set aside Okay. From the revenues, you can see that 12% of the revenues, 12.30% of revenues are coming from local local fees. In the local fees, these are taxes, these are from salvage, these are things that locally we raise. 75% of the revenues come from state revenue or state sources, TA. So 75% of the 119 million in that area comes from state revenues. Federal revenues make 10.96%. In the federal revenues are indirect cost, and it also includes any federal money that's floated through particularly through the child nutrition program. And 1.4, and that is just transfers from one fund to another. Those are transfers in that we have to transfer out to the athletic department and transfer out. So that makes up 100% of the revenues. The bottom portion of it is, how do we distribute that 119? Well, 44% of it goes to instruction. 1% goes to instructional resources, and you can see that the timelines. The other biggest one is 12% of the budget goes to plant and operations. So those are the bigger ones, and that's just, of course, we're in the business of educating students, so our highest percentage should be for the instruction portion of the district.
Thank you, ma'am, appreciate it.
Okay. The second part is it's same format, but these are expenditures. And this is what we plan to spend. It's the same area, what we're gonna spend. You can see under instruction, we are planning to do, the comparisons of last year to this year's, sorry. This is a current adopted. Last year's was 125 million, this year's 119,425, which we have a decrease of 2.26% overall. We posted this in the newspaper. Part of it goes down is that our bond payment that we're gonna pay off, so we have less debt to pay. Therefore, our overall budget is less than last year's, to a tune of 2.26%. Our revenue source, and Andrew, this is a committee meeting, I will be posting this, we'll be posting it at the regular board meeting and online. Sorry about having extra copy for the audience, but the revenue by sources, these are graphs, same information, but it's broken up in graph form, and I'll show there the 75% of the revenue comes from the state revenues. One item that I did want to point in is that I know just wanted to point out we have 1% of the budget comes from taxes. Misconception sometimes is that taxpayers foot all the bill of the school budget, and it is 1%. Portion of it. Partially, it is all state revenue and federal funds that supplement our budget. But 1% does come from taxpayers.
And that's a very key point. Now that we're on this subject, just to clarify to our constituents and our taxpayers of our community, we haven't raised taxes, and correct me if I'm wrong, in about 13 years.
2010, sir. We've had the
13
same tax rate since 2010.
Okay, so it's been several years since we raised our taxes. So we're not planning on raising it anytime soon, but just to keep it in mind. Thank you.
If we go into, and I'm sorry about the pages 1 of 8, that is just a breakdown, the same information, but this is derived from our computer system, and that's just to say we do have 119,425,226, and our appropriations are 119,425,226. We don't anticipate going into the fund balance. Information that goes in there, just a breakdown of function codes. this is what will be presented at the public meeting, and our last page is the notice of the public meeting that was posted. And it was created next run date, it came out on Friday. It was posted this past Friday to comply with the 10 days required period. In the budget, we didn't include the items that we presented at a previous board workshop. Some of the items that we included were our skyward conversion, our 2% increase that the board adopted for across the board, across the district for raises, the performance stipends, a teacher supply account, the new substitute system frontline, our biometric system that we will continue, our bus fleet that we talked about, some trucks, playground equipment, student desks, some energy saving projects, building purchase boilers and air units, and the cafeteria, from the cafeteria area item, they will be including some of the renovations for some of the cafeteria schools, decor package, serving counter, refrigerated merchandise, a van, walk-in cooler, and upgrades in the serving lines. We've included those items. We did talk about some items that we were going to be bringing to the board, ones that will be taken out of the fund balance. These are a little larger items, and then of course the third set was based on whether we wanted to continue, once we continue into exploring the possibility of a bond, then taking those items. Those items are in the third list. Do y'all have any questions?
Mr. Rendon, with regards to the fund balance, I know we kept going back and forth with, especially you and Dr. Carmen, where would the final savings of moving the fiscal year? So, A, how much are we gonna end with the fiscal year total, and B, what's gonna be our total fund balance?
Truth serum here. I'm the conservative, Dr. Carmen. Right now I'm looking at 10, and it's between 10 and 14. There's some projects that we have brought in for the fund balance that we're tackling. One of them is, as you recall, at the last board meeting, we brought in something to renovate the high school, and that was a $500,000. So it's still about $10 million that we have fund balance. With that, that would be added to our 29 million, so we would be in the 39 million fund balance.
And that's your most conservative estimate, because a little birdie told me we were maybe at 16 million rather than 10.
There's some factors that go in. There's some items that might have to be pushed forward. This is our last month, so this is going to be a month of you said the truth. Yes, we have, but one of the things that we need to consider is we have lost 200 kids. So 200 kids puts me in about $2.5 million less. And you might not notice it now is because what the state does is they settle in the following year. The anticipated though is this budget is done on a conservative level. We do anticipate receiving, joining some alliances or some MOUs where it would produce additional students. So it might be that it doesn't materialize because it will wash out with it getting additional students back to the district.
Right.
So it was done in a conservative. So the possibility of, it just depends on which year it falls in.
Okay.
So it might push it forward, and it might push it into the next year. But we're looking at $40 million.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rendon, real quick, just to recap, just to clarify for the new board members, as far as our taxes are concerned, I know we haven't raised taxes in over 8 years, but can you please explain to them real quick, like you explained to us when we first came on the board, how much money we're actually losing, and how many cents are we below the norm that was done by the audit?
Yes. This year's a little different because one of the bonds is being paid off. But if we're going forward and anticipating that we're going to the bond, right now our tax rate is we haven't we've raised the limit to $1.17 from the maintenance. There's two, say like two buckets. Maintenance, we've had it at we've raised it to 117 because they did a tax ratification back in 2010. What they did is they did a swap and they they raised the M&O side, and they dropped the INS. The INS tax rate is what we pay the bonds. That's the money that we pay the bonds. We have to set the bond rate. All we do is set it to cover our debt. We set it to cover our bonds that we have out there because we pay them in February and we pay them in August. And we have to set the tax rate just enough to cover, not to make any money, just to have enough money to meet our debt. So it was lowered back, so they swapped it. When they did the swap under the M&O, when they do that, the state is they send you 6 times what every penny you raise on the INS. So that's a win for the district because the state has to send you extra money for every penny that you set the tax rate. You get to multiply it basically by 6. So that's a win. The only thing is that now you have that money, that much less in the INS. So now you're short on your bonds. Well, by setting it low and not setting it to where we need it, we needed about 13 cents more. So we should have it around, we should be at more like 20 cents and we have it at 13. Somebody has to pay the difference. So what the state says is if you don't set it to where your effort doesn't match what the requirement is, the state is going to also penalize you and withhold some money back. So now what local does, and I'm saying from the local fund balance, you have to pay the portion that you didn't tax, plus the portion that the state penalized you because you didn't set the tax rate to meet the debt. With all that in tune, it has been the transfers from fund balance to the INS. We've pulled out on a yearly basis, been running between $3 million and $3.5 million out of fund balance that we move and make a transfer into our debt service in order to meet our bond payment. So that's what the school district has been doing by keeping the taxes down, is they've been pitching in the shortfall. And the shortfall has been around $3 million. This year won't be as much because of that bond payment that we've finished. So we hadn't, and the other one is because we did some refinancing of some bonds. And refinancing is just to lower down the interest rate that we got it. So it's a saving to the school district. They finally caught up. So this year we don't have to transfer as much money. So we got a little savings there. But going next year, it's going to go back to around the $8 million. So that's what the school has been doing by keeping the taxes down since 2010. And you can do that as long as you have fund balance.
So we have to do the math, so you multiply 3.5 million times 8, that's the amount of money that the school district is paying out to the bonds, because we're at 13 cents below where they say we should be.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very important, when we discuss this next week at the public hearing, as far as, just so our community knows where we are and the sacrifices we make to provide our kids with the best education possible, but also keeping our taxes down. So it's very important. Thank you, Mr. Don, I appreciate it.
I'll provide you a list of how much we pulled out from the local side to subsidize the bond payment for next
Great.
week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it. Okay, agenda item. Let's move on to agenda item number 8, committee concerns. Anyone? Nope. We're good. Let's move on to agenda item number 9. We adjourned this meeting at approximately 6:50. Thank you.